it's Tracy Jackson, also known as the Spiritual Cheerleader, coming to you with your tip for the week. This week's tip is really on astrology, and it's an intro to astrology to kind of help empower you for learning how the planets and moon, sun, stars in the cosmos affect us as empathic beings, highly sensitive persons. So one of the things that I want to start with is the fact that previous to, I would say maybe about 2 years ago, I did not know anything other than my sun sign. Our sun sign is the zodiac sign that we were born under. It's where the sun was in the zodiac, in the astrological chart when we were born. I was born in July 1st, so I am a Cancer. That's my sun sign. Most people know their sun sign. They've known it from the time they could read a newspaper and look at the horoscope section, typically. So most people know their sun sign, and if that's all you know, great, that will help you. However, if you want to dive a little bit deeper, two other signs that I feel are very, very helpful to know are your rising sign and your moon sign. And the reason being, your sun sign is who you are. Like, it's the basics of who you are. It's the core of your being. Like, it's you. It's kind of like how you how you operate when no one is really looking. It's like your comfort zone. Let's just say it like that. The sun sign is your comfort zone. The rising sign is how you present to the world. Like, when people first meet you, it's how people kind of think of you. That's your rising sign. And your moon sign is what you are, like, subconsciously, like in your subconscious. Like, this is kind of like where you veer to all the time. Like, right, it's not something that you've thought about. It's not something that you curated. Like, it's kind of like it's part of your inner being, right? And so a lot of times people say, like, oh, it's the inner you, is your moon sign. Like, it's true to who you are on the inside, and it is, because that's your subconscious. And most times, most of us are operating from our subconscious mind. We think we're operating from consciousness, but a lot of us are operating from that subconscious mind, things that we've just kind of been indoctrinated in or conditioned in. And so knowing these three aspects can really help you to learn how the astrological world is affecting you. Obviously, right now in our timeline, it's July 16th is going to be this next Tuesday coming up, and on this next Tuesday we have a partial lunar eclipse. The full moon is going to be in Capricorn, but obviously there is an eclipse. The sun and the moon are kind of crossing one another, so it's going to be a partial lunar eclipse, in the sense that the sun is going to pass through and kind of obscure the moon in its fullness at this time. So we want to know how that affects us. Well, for me, I'm a Cancer. The full moon is actually in Capricorn, and typically the full moon is always going to be in the opposite sign as the sun sign. So the sun is in Cancer, so the full moon would be in Capricorn. That's the opposite sign. And like in January, the full moon is typically in Cancer. January sun sign is Capricorn. So full moon is is really opposite the sun sign of the day. For me, because I'm a Cancer, I'm going to feel this full moon partial lunar eclipse a little bit more than maybe somebody who doesn't have any aspects in either of those two signs, Capricorn or Cancer, right? Like, for me, Cancer obviously is a water sign. We're emotional, it's kind of got that emotional flavor to it. Capricorn, though, is like an earth sign. Like, it's very, very regimented, realistic, just set in its ways. And so that energy is what the full moon is going to bring and make us to kind of look at. And so for me, I think of my dad. My dad's a Capricorn. So I can expect the energy for me to kind of be that type of energy, that energy that kind of like makes me like question, like, okay, hey, where do we want to go? How do we want to get there? Like, what are the things that we're wanting to do? What's not allowing you to get there? Let's get rid of it now. That's what the full moon's going to do for me. That's what I know just by basics of understanding what Capricorn is and what Cancer is, right? And understanding that the full moon itself calls for us to release certain things. And then this one, being a lunar eclipse, is going to be even more intense because it's kind of amplified energy, right? So learning, like I said, those 3 keys, your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, are really, really helpful. So let me speak a little bit more about rising sign and your moon sign and how you discover them. So for me, the rising sign, as I mentioned, is how you present yourself to the world. It's when I introduce myself to people, most times they tell me, like, when I say, oh, I'm a Cancer, they're like, really? I never would have seen you as a Cancer. Like, you seem so outgoing, you seem so extroverted, like you're out there, like, like I'm surprised, right? Because I present as a Sag. I present as somebody that's like ready to go on an adventure, ready to take the risk, ready to leap off of this building. Like, I'm the daredevil, right? But at my core, I'm a Cancer. So I love being at home. I like I like cooking. I don't like cooking as much as some people do, but I do like to make sure people are taken care of. So like when people come to my home, I'm like constantly, do you need this? Do you need that? Hey, do you want this? Do you want that? I bought this. I bought that. Take care of this. Like take care of you at my home, right? I like to nurture. So that's my energy as a Cancer. But as a Sag, I'm like out there. I'm like, yeah, let's go on that trip. Let's travel. Let's do this. Let's get out there. Oh yeah, sure, I'll get up on the stage and sing that karaoke song in front of 1 million people I don't know, right? Because as a Sag, I literally, I don't care, right? I get more more nervous around people I do know than I don't know. Like, I'm completely free, and that's one of the reasons that I always, when I travel, a lot of times I present with this amazing bravado when I travel because I don't know anyone. So, but that's my Sagittarius being. My moon sign is actually Libra. So when we get to the time of Libra, like I can feel that energy, just like when I get to Sag, I can feel being in that energy. And when aspects of sun, moon, or various planets are in any of these signs, I feel it. They present to me. They might help me to come out of my shell more. They may make me go into my shell more if they are hitting up with Cancer. Obviously, I'm holed up in my home right now because I feel the energy of this full moon, and I feel that I'm supposed to really dive deep and figure out certain things that need to be released and let go of. So I don't really have the energy to go out and do things right now because I know like my Cancer nature is kind of like, like get in there and get it together. Like, we got to get this all out, right? So that's how it's kind of affecting me. But the fact that I know that is very, very helpful. Going back to my moon sign. Moon sign's in Libra. And obviously Libra energy, obviously if you've seen it, it's the scales. So it's all about balancing. Relationships are very key in Libra, like that whole decision making, that's like key in Libra. That it's an air sign, so it's got kind of, it's all up here. Not usually down in here, but it's all up in here. I feel like Cancer is more, for me, because it's emotional, it's all in my heart. But the Libra energy is all up here, and that's how I've operated subconsciously throughout my entire life. I'm an attorney. I've always studied. I love learning. All of that is playing into my subconscious, who I am at my subconscious, the Libra me, right? Because I love that. I love learning. I love reading. I love, I love being in a relationship. I love, I want balance. It's not to say that I get balance, but I want balance, right? So that's who I am in my inner being. So how do we discover sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, and even other, signs that other planets were in when we were born? We discover that through looking at our astrological natal chart. There are many sites that you can go to find your birth chart. The one that I'm thinking of right now, I think it's astro.com. I'm going to put the link in the comments below, but I think it's astro.com. I'm probably completely messing that up because I go to it all the time and I just type it in like from memory, but I never pay attention. Like on the website it says like astro dentist, I think. But it on that website, it will ask you certain information. It'll ask you like your name, your birth date, obviously, and it'll ask you your birth time. The birth time is how it figures out where the planets were when you were born. It's also how they calculate your rising sign. So the more accurate you can be on your birth time, the better. For me, I was able to get my birth certificate that had my exact birth time on it. So because of that, I was able to find that my rising sign was in Sag. Now, one of the things that I and that's probably getting too deep with it, because I was gonna say that my rising sign is right on the cusp of another sign. I'm 0 degrees Sagittarius. There's typically 29 degrees in each sign, and that represents like kind of like the 29 days of the moon to switch over, right? And so I was at 0 0 on my Sagittarius. And so I kind of act a little bit Scorpio-ish, some Sagittarius, it's like there's like a little bit of mixture there. There's a little bit of flesh, going back and forth. And so when you're truly in the sign, like you can tell, like, oh yeah, I'm a true whatever. When you're at the 0 degree mark, or even closer to the end of that particular sign, you might kind of get some of the energy from the succeeding sign or the preceding sign, depending on where you are. So that is kind of intro to astrology in a nutshell. I want to recommend to you 2 teachers that I feel give a lot more information on this and can give you a lot more clarity than probably I could. But I appreciate you guys for staying around to listen to me kind of babble about my rising and sun sign and my sun sign, my rising sign, and my moon sign. But the 2 teachers that I think about that are really good in this area are Yasmin Bolin. She wrote the book Moonology that goes through the different phases of the moon and how you can use those different phases to help you with the cycles that you're going in, as well as kind of explaining to you what happens if you're, the moon is in this sign, or it's in this aspect, or it's presented in this way. And so it's really, really detailed book. She also has a website where you can go and get like monthly information on how the particular energy of that month is affecting you. And it's typically based off of your sun sign. So it's not going to be as detailed as if she was doing a personal reading for you, because your personal reading would have all of those aspects, like I said, from your astrological chart. This is based on your sun sign, which is really just one aspect of you. So sometimes you can feel like, oh wow, this like resonates completely, and then other times you can feel like, well, it resonates, but not as greatly as I would like it to, because there's only one aspect of you that's really operating there. And, if there's another, aspect that's like greater in that area, then that might be presenting itself. So that's why a lot of astrology teachers will tell you, look at both your sun sign and your rising sign to see which one applies more, because sometimes like my rising sign seems more like what I'm going through and resonates more than what my sun sign says. And you can also use that with your moon sign too, because I've found sometimes that it's resonated as well. The second teacher that I just over the moon love is Deborah Silverman, and she has these amazing videos on YouTube that go through all of the signs and kind of typical characteristics of the signs, and they're spot on, absolutely spot on. And I invite you to take a look at them. But she has a whole membership program that is really, really good, that gives you information on the particular sign that's applicable for the month, where, what the sun, where the planets are each day. Like she'll chronicle like a 2 or 3 day period to tell you like the moon's in Mercury, and this is here and this is there, and it kind of helps you to understand like where it might be affecting you. And she speaks to that, like, okay, if people have sun sign in this might be affecting you more, or whatever. So it's a great program that she has, her little membership site. And then obviously you can learn astrology with her as well. I'll include links to both Yasmin Bolin and Deborah Silverman in this. Finally, I just want to reiterate the fact of knowing these 3 aspects really helps to empower you so that you're ready for the energy that's coming through, and you don't necessarily feel so out of sorts. Many times we internalize what's going on when the energy is really coming from the cosmos and making us feel out of sorts. So a lot of times we'll feel like something's wrong with me, I don't know what it is, and when in actuality it might be that there's a full moon in a couple of days, or there's a full moon tonight. I mean, I don't know, many people at hospitals will say things like, oh, it must be a full moon. Like, they can tell, like, people get out of sorts. They get a lot more people during full moons and stuff like that. And it's because people get out of sorts. But if you know that something's coming up, or you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to put as much weight on what's happening, because I know that I'm being influenced by these astrological sources. So I hope that helped you. Feel free to check out my other videos with some other amazing tips. Subscribe if you'd like as well. And I hope to share with you another tip really soon. Have a good one. Bye.